We began our investigation with a single, brazen lie, an official record that presented a massacre as a win. In parts 1 and 2, we filled in the edges that framed that lie. Digging through redacted files and conflicting testimonies, we exposed a failed rebellion, secret, seemingly innocuous, illegal meetings held in the dead of night, and a web of dangerous attachments among the cadets. Every alliance we've highlighted is balanced on the thin razor's edge of betrayal. Every relationship, a loaded weapon. But we're still missing a critical piece of the puzzle, the truth of that final battle. A cool summer morning, a military exercise, 2 dead, 1 barely alive, and 4 seriously injured. In this final part, we'll examine the darkest, most heavily redacted corners of the case files. We'll get into exactly what happened on that cool summer morning. What really happened in that valley? Was it bad luck? Or was it all a conspiracy from the very beginning? This is part 3 of the Freshman Massacre. The truth is here.
5th January, 2200 hours. Core subjects, 10. Status, 7 living, 2 casualties, 1 missing.
When we left off in part 2, 7 of the core 14 cadets had survived threshing. From that moment on, their official designation changed to Riders. But, for the sake of clarity and continuity, we'll keep calling them cadets. What comes next is what every bonded cadet yearns for, the manifestation of magical powers. Signets, they call them. Unique abilities forged through the connection to their dragon. Signets are a reflection of the dragon's strength and the rider's essence, their fears, their instincts, their core identity. The stronger the bond and the more powerful the dragon, the stronger the signet is likely to be. Cadets 2, 3, and 8's powers manifest early. 8's ability is metallurgy. He can manipulate metals. 3 can make objects near her disappear and reappear at will, making her a summoner. Cadet 2's essentially an ice bender. The files on Cadets 1 and 13 are suspiciously light. They don't show when or what powers either of them has. Cadet 1's file, though, hints at something dark, a power that causes those who come into contact with him to recoil. As for 13, her file remains irretrievable. Then there's Cadet 4 and Cadet 14. They're a case study in contrasts. 14's signet, Farsight, manifested early, but he kept it hidden to keep watching over Cadet 4. Cadet 4 is the most curious of all. She's bonded to 2 dragons. One, the Black Dragon, is one of the most powerful dragons in existence, so we expect her ability to be magnificent. Yet her signet is dormant. Despite her dormant power, Cadet 4 keeps busy. She wins a couple of challenges without needing to use her arsenal of poisons against her opponents. Smart, because at this point she should be organically building her strength and improving. She won't always have a chance to poison her enemies outside college. But a leopard can't change its spots. When the next sparring roster is posted, she sees the name of her opponent, and her blood runs cold. She's set to fight Cadet 1. 1 and 4 are called to Mat 17. The professor lays down the rules. No signets, victory by tap-out or knockout. But the rules don't matter. They never did. 1's eyes lock with 4's as they face off, and the temperature in the room drops. Everyone in the gym knows exactly what this is. The air is thick with it. This isn't a match, it's a hunt, and 1 is out for blood. 4 is armed with 2 daggers, 1 with a single knife. She strikes first, slicing the back of his hand to provoke him, to force a mistake. The calculated move works. Cadet 1 responds with a series of punches and kicks, eventually flipping her on her back. He rams a knee into 4's stomach and pins her down. His knife is just inches from her dragon scale-covered chest as he holds her immobile, taunting her about the valedictorian's absence. His hands clasp her face, and she feels it, the repulsive energy of his signet burning her skin. But 4 was waiting for it. She shoves a vial against his mouth, and a broken tooth falls out. Cadet 1 drops his hands, clutching his throat as his airway closes. He wheezes and claws at his neck as his face turns purple. 4 had poisoned him. Files show the poison was a highly concentrated dose of oranges. Months earlier, Cadet 4 had made a note of one's severe allergy, cataloguing his weakness after overhearing his reaction to a friend offering him a slice.
"Get that noxious shit away from me! Do you want me to end up in the infirmary?"
One was overheard saying. As the cadets fight to survive, the valedictorian and a handful of other marked ones have been sneaking out of campus. When Cadet 4 catches them returning late one night and inquires about it, the valedictorian tells her they were somewhere called Athebyne. Our files indicate that it's 7 hours away, a 14-hour round trip by dragon. This is a critical piece of the puzzle. How does a group of high-profile cadets, including the valedictorian, disappear for most of the day without anyone noticing? And what exactly are they doing in Athebyne? Is it simple post-teenage mischief, or a deeper, more dangerous secret? We'll be digging into these files next. Our analysis of the final test of the school year paints a vivid picture of the marked one's actions. Officially, the last test is called War Games. The first round is a capture-the-flag-style exercise with a twist. Dragon eggs, professors, and flags are the objectives, but they're weighted. A captured dragon egg is worth the most points, followed by professors, and lastly, the opposing team's flag. Rules are fluid, and points can change on a whim. This is meant to keep cadets on their toes, but it also creates the perfect environment for chaos. Cadet 4's unit is pit against the now recovered Cadet 1 and his unit. The target? Their rival battalion's flag. What unfolds next is a chaotic and brutal series of encounters. The case files contain dozens of witness statements, and they all tell a similar story. Cadet 1 is vicious and unhinged. He jumps from his dragon's back onto Cadet 14's dragon and kicks Cadet 14 off, sending him plummeting towards the ground. Cadet 4 and her dragon rush to 14 and grab him just in time. He's gravely wounded but alive. According to multiple witnesses, a wave of pure, unadulterated rage erupts from Cadet 4. The files are clear on what happens next. Cadet 4 unleashes a blast of lightning at Cadet 1, the first documented manifestation of her signet. The bolt strikes a nearby tower, causing a thunderous explosion. The impact and debris send Cadet 1 plummeting off his dragon. Unlike 14, no one rushes to save him. He falls, buried in the rubble, presumed dead. In the aftermath, 4 is a wreck. Official records detail 2 very different responses to her actions. The unit leader comforts her, pressing a kiss to the top of her head, assuring her that everything's all right, that she doesn't have to use that kind of power again. But a chillingly different response is noted by a nearby cadet. They witnessed the valedictorian pulling her away with a snarl. "Get the fuck away from her with that nonsense," the valedictorian asserts. "He was nothing more than a bully, and was only going to get worse as he grew more powerful. I'm glad he's dead. I'm glad you killed him."
16th May, 1600 hours. Core subjects, 10. Status, 6 living, 3 casualties, 1 missing.
The relationship between the valedictorian and Cadet 4 evolves into something far more intimate. A few cadets pick up on unspoken cues, stolen glances, palpable tension, intense whispered conversations. But for the most part, the student body remains oblivious to the nature of 4 and the valedictorian's relationship. This clandestine relationship, this association forged in secrets, would become the single most important factor in the events that followed. The final round of War Games happens before dawn on the 2nd of July. It's designed to simulate an attack on the kingdom, so the cadets are abruptly woken up and are to be sent across the continent for 5 days to man outposts. The valedictorian is assigned to Athebyne, the same place he was visiting in secret. This, as you've guessed, isn't a coincidence. It's a move on a chessboard, and the valedictorian responds by choosing his pieces. He picks cadets 4 and 14 to join his 10-person unit. The other 7 people he picks confirm a plot, a setup of some kind. With the exception of Cadet 4, all of them are marked ones. If you're wondering how this is possible, you're not alone. It's been made clear throughout the school year that units should have a maximum of 3 marked ones. Anything more is a capital offense, seditious conspiracy, punishable by death. So how is this allowed? How is it that a group of 9 high-profile marked cadets are allowed to go on a mission to a distant outpost? What is so important that it warrants this level of rule-breaking, of collusion? Lucky for us, the records are comprehensive and clear. Let's dig into the truth of what happened. 2nd July, 5 a.m., a cool summer morning. 10 cadets and their dragons fly off to Athebyne on what's supposed to be a regular school-mandated training exercise, returning us to where our investigation began. We've condensed multiple cadet accounts of what happened to paint a clear, harrowing picture of that day. The battle, as we've pieced together from survivor testimony and classified reports, unfolded in 3 distinct and brutal phases. First, the ambush and horrifying reveal. This happened even before they got to the outpost, by a lake, 20 minutes away from Athebyne. Second, the desperate defense and the terrible cost, where the cadets confronted the limits of their power and paid in blood. And third, the all-or-nothing gambit, a final desperate act to turn the tide when all hope seemed lost. Our account begins just before the first phase, the ambush. 10 cadets and their dragons stop at a lake to hydrate, 20 minutes from the Athebyne outpost. Cadet 4 and the valedictorian separate from the group. They walk a few feet past the shore towards a cluster of boulders on the far side of the lake. They're about to engage in a moment of not-so-private intimacy when the valedictorian's shadows suddenly engulf them. When the shadows fall away, they're surrounded by the very enemies they've been training to fight, Griffon flyers. 4's account is the only one we'll use to recount the next few moments. Her instincts, honed by a year of brutal training, kick in. She prepares to unleash her lightning, but the valedictorian stops her. Just then, the rest of the group arrives, and 4 notices something odd. No one is alarmed. Cadet 14 even restrains her, pinning her arms to her sides, as if to protect the interlopers from her. Turns out, these are the same people the valedictorian has been meeting. He's been arming them, trading weapons to the kingdom's sworn enemy, a benevolent arms dealer. He says they began after threshing in his first year, that's 2 years ago. He assures her that the weapons they supply are never used against Navarre. But how can he know for sure? From 4's perspective, the conclusion is simple and damning. Treason. But the valedictorian and the flyers tell a convenient and impossible story. They claim the 400-year war is a lie, a distraction. They say the real enemy is a monster from a child's nightmare, the Venin. The very same beings Cadet 3 mentioned during presentation, which we covered in Part 1. Think about what she's being asked to believe. The fables and myths she heard as a child are real, that everything she's been trained to fight against her entire life is a lie. It's a story that demands a great deal of trust, and the man who asks it offers very little. By 4's account, she searched their faces for signs of deception, for any hint that they were coached. She looked for jest, for pretense, for lies. But what she found wasn't a performance. It was terror, raw and unscripted, in the tremor of their voices, in the frantic desperation in their eyes. She saw a fear that couldn't be faked, and in that moment, the impossible began to feel terrifyingly real. To understand the scale of this cover-up and the threat the Venin pose, we need to explain 5 key things about this world. First, Navarre and their neighbor, Poromiel, have been at war for 400 years. Navarre has dragons, and Poromiel has griffins. Griffins are half eagle, half lion beasts. They're considerably smaller than dragons, but they're just as deadly. Second, our records, sourced only from Navarre, detail how they've been constantly defending their mountainous borders from violent invasion attempts by griffins and their flyers. According to Navarre, they've made constant bids for peace with Poromiel, but they've consistently been rejected. Third, the dragons. In Navarre, magic is exclusively channeled through dragons, granting their riders unique and powerful signets like Cadet 4's Lightning, the Valedictorian's Shadows, or Cadet 14's Farsight. Fourth, Navarre is surrounded by magical wards that protect it from outside forces. This magical barrier is powered exclusively by dragons, making all other forms of magic impossible within Navarre's borders. But the wards are failing. And fifth, the last thing you need to know about this world is that there are exceptions to every rule. In this case, it's the Venin. They were once humans who drew power from the source of magic, the earth, and became tarnished. They're now able to draw power without dragons or griffins and leave nothing but blight in their wake. They drain all magic and life from an area, leaching grass, wilting flowers, killing plants, and all life near them. They did this to an area now called the Barrens. We'll get to that in subsequent episodes, when we delve deeper into the conspiracies within the continent's kingdoms. To compound the threat that is the Venin, only the material used to power the wards can kill them, making Navarre's greatest defense its only weapon. Part of the secrecy surrounding what the Valedictorian's been up to, 4 learns, is the unit leader's telepathic abilities. A single touch by him could expose their entire operation. But now, the secret's out. The Griffin Flyers bring a dire warning. The Venin are headed for Athebyne. The Flyers urge the cadets to flee, to save themselves. The Valedictorian leaves the choice to his unit. If they leave, the people beyond the outpost, 300 villages just outside Navarre's wards, die. If they stay, they might die. Stand, fight, and betray the kingdom, or save their enemy. They all choose to fight. Upon arrival, the Athebyne outpost is eerily empty. It's a strategic garrison, too important to leave unguarded, too vital to abandon. It wouldn't be deserted for a game, but it is. No one's there. No lookouts, no guards on duty, no patrols sweeping the grounds, just silence, loud and unnerving. They find a taunting letter addressed to the Valedictorian, offering his 10-person group a choice. Defend the enemy's village or get to their new outpost and finish war games. The group had walked into a trap, unwitting lambs ushered to slaughter. Cadet 14 uses his farsight to peer into the valley. He reports a chilling sight. 4 creatures in purple robes with distended red veins and bright red eyes. Venin. A 5th one, with a giant staff, destroys the trading post gates and makes his way towards them. Cadet 4 sends her small golden dragon away from the fight, and 7 Griffin Flyers join the cadets. They're outnumbered, outmatched, but united. As they prepare for battle, the group notice something in the outpost, a crate marked with Cadet 14's family crest. But it's too late to consider the implications of what it is and why it's there. The Venin and their wyvern, monstrous 2-legged, dragon-like creatures, are upon them. The group learns a horrifying truth within seconds. Venin are immune to dragon fire. The battle is brutal. Cadets fight with steel and signet. Dragons screech fire to deter their enemies. The air is thick with smoke and death. One of the cadets and her dragon gets cornered, falling into the radius of a Venin's power leech. The Venin's power closes in, leeching all life in its path. As the circle of death narrows to meet them, both cadet and dragon don't run. They turn to husks right where they stand. And with that first, horrifying loss, the battle enters its second phase, the desperate defense. Every inch of ground, every second of survival would be paid for in blood. Across the field, Cadet 4, with her lightning, is a beacon. She lures Venin away from the others, her power raw and untamed. She hits one wyvern, then another and another. They all drop from the sky, dead. Her prominence makes her a target. 14's dragon, Day, takes a bite meant for 4's dragon. The resulting collision sends 14 tumbling off his dragon. 4 and her black dragon race to catch him. Her shoulder almost pops out from the strain when she grabs his hands. They pull him aboard and race back to Day, who's fighting against the grey wyvern. What happens next is a brutal, one-sided assault. The grey wyvern has a deathlock on Day, relentlessly tearing into him. According to 4's testimony, Day's screams became weaker and weaker, increasing in pitch. The wyvern relentlessly digs its claws into Day's underbelly. It continues to attack even as its own wings are shredded by Cadet 4's dragon. With one final, victorious roar from the wyvern, both it and Day crash into a hillside. 14 unleashes a raw, piercing scream as Cadet 4's dragon rushes to Day's fallen body. With only minutes left, 14 stumbles to get to his dragon's side.
Can't make it.
He falls to his knees.
We can make it.
4 forces out, trying to support his weight. 14 eventually crumples, his head landing in 4's lap, struggling to breathe.
It's all right,
he whispers.
None of this is all right. Please stay. Fight to stay. Please.
A weeping 4 begs. 14 makes her promise to take care of his sister when she enrolls next year. He tries to tell her what he realized during the battle, about what kills the wyvern, but he can't finish. The valedictorian gets to them just then and carries 14, his friend, his foster brother, and places him next to Day, where they both die. Liam's death marks the beginning of the third and final phase, the all-or-nothing gambit. A bloodied wyvern dives to attack Cadet 4, but her dragon shields her, allowing her and the valedictorian to come up with the basics of a plan. The valedictorian cloaks the entire field in shadow. 4 gets back on her dragon and launches a lightning bolt at a nearby wyvern, sending it plummeting to the ground. But another enemy is already upon them. A Venin, the same one that killed the first cadet, stabs 4's dragon with a sword, and the blade gets stuck. The Venin, highly skilled and unnaturally quick, breaks several of 4's bones and wounds her before stabbing her with a green-tipped blade. She taunts 4 about her untapped power.
You could command the sky to surrender all its power, and I bet you don't know what to do with it, do you?
She then reveals her plan to deliver 4 to her teacher, the staff-wielding Venin, the Sage. Cadet 4 is lethally outmatched and about to die at the hands of a student. A student, just like her. The valedictorian creates a diversion with his shadows, giving 4 an opening. She moves across her dragon's back and unleashes a bolt of lightning that illuminates the sky. That single millisecond of light is enough. It disorients the Venin, and Cadet 4 drives her blade home. It exits the Venin's side with a final, sickly crunch. The Venin falls, and as she does, several wyvern drop from the sky. In that moment, 4 understands what Liam, Cadet 14, was trying to say. Killing the Venin kills their creations. The staff-wielding Venin, their leader, the Sage, zeroes in on the valedictorian. 4 screams out a warning, and the valedictorian's blue dragon spins out of the way and blasts fire at the Sage. But he doesn't so much as pause. Another cadet flings a dagger at him, but before it can reach him, he slams his staff into the ground and disappears. 4 knows it's up to her. The valedictorian is nearing burnout. The remaining cadets are also on their last legs. She channels round after round of lightning, and she misses each time. She urges her dragon to find the most powerful venin on the field. She's going for the kill, but she needs more power, more than her black dragon is willing to let her take, knowing it could kill her. Her small golden dragon offers the only solution: to freeze time. For a single, frozen moment, the battlefield is silent. She lifts her arms, her skin sizzles and burns. Her body's so hot that she feels like she could burst into flame. Cadet 4's lightning splits the sky, branching out like the roots of a dying tree. She just needs to guide one of those forks of lightning to her target. She releases her hold on time and struggles to remain upright as she watches to see whether her bolt struck true. As if in slow motion, the venin topples from his wyvern, and with him, more than half of the remaining creatures fall dead. The rest of the battle is a blur of shadows and desperation. Cadet 4, her body broken, falls from her dragon's back. Her small golden dragon, with its last bit of strength, freezes time and rushes to catch her, but she's unable to carry 4. When time restarts, 4 is in the valedictorian's arms. She can't move, can't even scream in pain from the agonizing stab wound on her side. She's dying from a poisoned stab wound. You have to appreciate the irony. The budding poison master of Basgiath, taken out by a single venom-tipped blade. It's almost poetic, in a horrifying sort of way. When she next wakes, she hears the survivors arguing. Basgiath is a 12-hour flight away, too far to make it in time, but they need help, and fast. And so we have our final tally. Of the 10 cadets who flew to Athebyne that morning, 2 and their dragons are dead, 1 is actively dying, and 4 are nursing serious wounds. We began this investigation to find out what happened during a single, falsified training exercise. What we uncovered is a terrifying truth. Monsters are real. The government is actively suppressing that truth, and the children of the last rebellion are fighting a secret war. The freshman massacre is over, but the war for the truth has just begun. This has been the Poisoned Apple Podcast. What we've covered is an in-depth look at the events of the Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Thank you for joining us down this rabbit hole. We'll be back soon with another puzzle full of missing pieces, another story they don't want you to know. Until then, remember, truth may be stranger than fiction, but fiction is where truth is buried.